that the man stuttering about the Baba billions.
Keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Frontera Energy Corporation and CGX Energy Inc. have been instructed by the government of Guyana to relinquish the Demerara and Berbice oil blocks after failing to honor work commitments for both concessions. In the Demerara block, the partners were expected to drill 2 wells. In Berbice, they were required to drill 1 well and complete the acquisition of seismic data. These tasks were to be completed before 2023. In a statement to the press, Frontera and CGX said they have, in principle, reached an agreement with the government to allow for the relinquishment of the Demerara block through a mutual termination agreement in which terms remain to be defined and documented. They said such a termination agreement would allow the relinquishment of the Demerara block in a timely manner, allowing for the people of Guyana to benefit from exploration activities under the stewardship of interested parties. On Energy, a 62.5% owned subsidiary of CGX and holder of the petroleum prospective license of the Berbice block, has also been in discussions with the government of Guyana and has reached an agreement similar to that made for the Demerara relinquishment application. In other news from 2020 and 2021 rather, ExxonMobil and its partners, Hess Corporation and CNOOC Group, have recovered a whopping $355.7 million for decommissioning costs, which would be incurred in another 18 years for the Liza Phase 1 project. Decommissioning entails the removal of all equipment used for the extraction and production of oil and gas resources, as well as the safe abandonment of wells involved. The activity takes place when the life of the project comes to an end. Based on its 2021 financial statements, Exxon's subsidiary, Esso, recovered $15.2 billion in 2020 and $17 billion in 2021 for decommissioning costs associated with the Liza 1 project. It therefore means that its total take for the 2 years was $160 million. Its partners also recovered monies. Though their financial results have not been made public as yet, we were able to calculate their take based on the percentage of working interest they hold in the Stabroek block. With Hess' 30% stake, it recovered approximately $106.7 million, while CNOOC's 25% working interest would be equivalent to $8 to $9 million being recovered for decommissioning. In other news, in what can be seen as an about-face decision, President Irfaan Ali announced on Thursday that next week Tuesday he will be naming the persons to sit on an international panel to inquire into the chaotic 2020 general and regional elections. Ali's announcement comes a few days after Vice President Bharat Jagdeo had indicated that this is not the route the government wishes to take at this time. He then doubled down on his position on Wednesday when he told a news conference that he believes the decision by the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission to not allow the review is the right one. He said for such a review to take place, persons no longer in the employ of GCOM and who are before the court for alleged wrongdoings would be relied on for information. Jagdeo said he believes that the matters which face the Elections Commission can be accommodated in the amendment to the Representation of the People's Act. And troubling news, relatives are mourning the death of a 14-year-old girl of East Berbice quarantine who ended her life after she was allegedly raped by a taxi driver last week. The teenager succumbed days after ingesting a poisonous substance. She had consumed the poison after she was reportedly sexually assaulted by the taxi driver Amir Inshanali of Sand Reef Albion quarantine Berbice. We were informed that the child died at approximately 21 hours 15 on Wednesday, June 15th, at the Port Murad Hospital. Her body is presently at the Ramus Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem. The accused, Inshanali, was charged with the rape of a child under 16 years old. He appeared at the Reliance Magistrates Court before Magistrate Rabindranath Singh and was remanded to prison for the offense. He will return to court on July 13th. And moving on. Guyana's non-oil economy, such as its gold, forestry, agriculture, and other sectors, has in recent years failed to meet the growth projection. But Vice President Bara Jagdeo is hopeful that the projections made will be met this year. Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, in his budget presentation this year, had reported that real GDP is estimated to have grown by 19.9%, while non-oil GDP is estimated to have grown by 4.6% in 2021, despite the persistence of COVID-19 as well as the impact of the floods. According to Dr. Singh, the performance also reflects the prompt and proactive flood mitigation measures, which helped limit the fallout in which the agriculture sector supported the sector in resuming activity in the shortest possible time. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 17 in Guyana. We'll resume shortly after the break.
This Father's Day, it's time to be Dad's hero. Gift him a new LTE smartphone from Digicel with over 40% off selected models. Grab the DL3 Pro Plus for only $12,000 or the Samsung A037 for just $29,000. Plus get a 30-day Prime Bundle plan for him to do all the things he wants. It's everything you need to make Dad feel special on his special day. Offer good while stocks last. Visit any Digicel store today. Digicel, better together.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Foreigners are currently in Guyana undercutting locals with regard to the provision of goods and services for the country's nascent oil and gas sector, to the point where the local banking system is also beginning to be exploited by the domestic economy. The development has since been described as concerning by Vice President Bara Jagdeo when pressed with the state of affairs during a press engagement at the Office of the President. The Vice President was presented with a hypothetical state of affairs wherein a foreigner travels to Guyana, invests $1 million in the country, takes a loan from the country, and repatriates that money back to his homeland. To this end, it would mean that Guyana's currency taken from its domestic banking system would now be used to carry on the business, earning more profits to be also repatriated from Guyana. Under the laws of Guyana, a foreign investor is prohibited from borrowing from the domestic banking system in order to invest locally, unless permission is had. And moving on, the new bail bill that is expected to be tabled in the National Assembly soon quashes the Guyana Police Force 72-hour custody rule, as it outlines that suspects placed in custody for serious offenses must be taken before the court within 24 hours. This is according to the Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal. On Tuesday night, the AG disclosed that the long-awaited bail bill is finally completed and is slated to be tabled in the National Assembly possibly by the next sitting of Parliament. While the new piece of legislation focuses largely on a regulatory framework for a magistrate's discretion in granting or refusing bail, it has provisions that outline how the police handle suspects before they pass through court. He pointed out that anyone charged for an offense that does not carry jail time should not be kept in police custody, but rather released on bail. Meanwhile, against the backdrop of recording its lowest ever first crop output, President of the Ghana Agricultural Workers Union, Sipal Narain, on Thursday said Gaisuko is in dire straits, and he called on the Ali administration to fire the CEO, says Narain Singh. Narain made the call during his address at the commemoration of the 74th anniversary of Enmore Martyrs. Narain sought to highlight the current situation of Gaisuko and how it affects sugar workers in this modern era. While delivering his speech, Narain said that sugar is in such a dire state because of poor leadership and management of the industry, and called for the removal of the topmost executive. And now let's tell you the high-powered rifles that were discovered recently by police at a mining camp in the Blackwater Back Dam in Kaieteur River Region 7 were reportedly stolen from a security firm. So said President Ali. Police had found the first weapon at Rock River 5.56mm rifle with 27 rounds on May 31st last, after ranks responded to reports that an individual was shooting up in the back dam. As the ranks approached the suspect, he dropped the gun and escaped into the bushes. Police ranks had later received information that the suspect was hiding out at a mining camp in the area. Officers turned up at the location on June 4th last, and the camp owner told them that the suspect had left but had buried more rifles at his camp. In other news, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony on Thursday assured that with the increasing number of new COVID-19 cases being recorded, hospitals across the country are prepared to treat and handle those cases of persons requiring hospitalization. He said that there are enough beds for patients and that the minister is currently in the process of installing a new oxygen plant at the Infectious Diseases Hospital, Lillian Dahl, to treat persons who would need intensive care. As reported, health authorities have started to record an increase in cases again from May, which have since increased the number of hospitalization in the country. For the year so far, over 25,000 persons have gotten infected with the virus. The majority of the cases have been recorded in areas such as regions 4, 3, and 6. And on Thursday, the Ministry of Health, via its dashboard, reported that within the last 24-hour period, they have recorded a total of 171 new COVID-19 cases across the country. The new infections now bring the total number of confirmed cases to 66,300. One patient is admitted into the ICU, 19 persons are in institutional isolation, 938 are in home isolation, and 2 are quarantined institutionally. To date, a total of 64,098 persons have recovered from the virus. And as usual, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. We are heartened by President Irfaan Ali's announcement on Thursday that he will be naming the members to sit on an international commission of inquiry into the 2020 general and regional elections. This move, coming after much public speculations and statements, would put to rest some of the allegations leveled against both the PPPC and the APNU-AFC coalition regarding their conduct at the 2022 elections. We stand on the side of democracy, and so it was not difficult for us to take the principled position that we took during the 5-month impasse over the polls. We now fully embrace the search for the truth and encourage full participation of all interested parties in bringing clarity and finality to this sore issue. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-846